This is Greg Reese with InfoWarsNewsWars.com. I am incognito at the Beto O'Rourke March for Truth rally in rivaling in opposition to the Donald Trump rally, which is about a 20-minute walk from here at the El Paso County Coliseum. So let's walk in and take a look and see what's going on here. Looks like maybe a few hundred people, maybe 200-300 people here at Bowie High School in beautiful El Paso, Texas. It's just starting to kick off now, just a little after 5 p.m. And we have all kinds of merch, mostly Beto. It's a Beto O'Rourke campaign event is what it is. Lots of Dreamers t-shirts. Beto for 2020.
Sorry. Thanks, guys. That's it.
And they have a lot of signs talking about defend the truth, why lie? And I guess a lot of these people are upset that Trump says things like hamburger stacked a mile high, when in reality there was really only about hamburgers stacked about 7 high. And they're not having it here. Now, I have not been able to ascertain exactly what the plan is. Someone told me that the plan is to march from here about 20 minutes to where the Trump rally is. But that's just hearsay. I have not seen anything written. All I saw written was from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. there will be a march for truth right here at Bowie High School, home of the 1949 state baseball champions in beautiful El Paso, Texas. I'm going to see if we can get closer in this crowd. There seems to be a big huddle around some activity. Pardon me.
We were going to come down. And then
Excuse me.
No KKK, no fascist USA. No wall. 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 No KKK, no
That's the usual.
No wall. No KKK, no fascist USA. No wall. No KKK, no fascist USA. No wall.
The big hit from 2016, 2017, 2018, not 2019.
Build bridges, no walls. 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 El Paso! El Paso! El Paso! El Paso! El Paso!
right, here's one I can get with. Yeah, El Paso's a beautiful city. I can get with the El Paso chant. Now, it's a good thing I'm incognito in this crowd. When we first landed, I had my InfoWars tag on the mic and was immediately sort of cursed at. And everywhere I go in this crowd, everyone is looking very carefully at my microphone. I guess they want to see if I am with them. And luckily we have our cute little impeach button, sort of like the Allman Brothers. So I should be safe. Maybe avoid getting spit on today. For anyone interested, starting at about 5:30 p.m., Infowars.com is going to start streaming the broadcast from the Trump rally, where we'll have multiple streams out in the crowd, as well as picking up the main feeds from C-SPAN, where President Trump is scheduled to meet and discuss border security and the wall, and government shutdown coming up, and potentially declaring a national emergency. There's a sign saying of Trump saying El Paso, the most dangerous city. But he's been talking about how safe it is here. Well, once again, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It was just hearsay I've heard that this crowd is planning to march from this location at Bowie High School, El Paso, Texas, down the road, about 20-minute walk to the El Paso County Coliseum, where the Trump rally right now is taking place. Buckets of buttons. Buckets of all the Orange Man bad buttons you could get. It's a mellow crowd. So I think everyone here is sort of waiting around as well, coming out to show their support, the resistance, allegedly resisting the lies. Let's see if we can talk to a few people out here. Now they said the big fat baby blimp was supposed to be making an appearance here. My guess is if it did make it here, they've called it off because it's very windy. If they try to fly that thing, they're going to lose it. Which would be perhaps the most special thing that happens here tonight. It's a very flat plane here. We'd be able to watch it sail off for miles. Now this is the same thing I noticed when I was in Washington, D.C. recently, is there's signs. The resistance really loves their signs. You see everyone's posing for pictures with them and selfies. I mean, you know, they take a lot of time, I suppose, to make these things, so we all enjoy showing off our hard work and creations. Stop the wall, stop the lies.
empieza a llegar para formar parte de lo que se espera ser esta manifestación masiva.
So we'll just be making our laps here, capturing this, while Infowars.com is streaming live the El Paso Trump rally tonight. And it'll be interesting to compare the two, to seeing how many people here in El Paso are going to make it out to the Trump rally and how many are going to make it out here to the resistance.
I have not already paid. That's just $10.
Is it like this?
Yes.
All right, two of these. All right.
Now we have pictures of women in burqas, the American flag. It's always an interesting image. Very interesting image to me. We're living in a time, for example, the restart movement in Iran. Millions of Iranians that are sick of Islamic laws forcing them to dress a certain way. Legally, women are only half a human, and yet the resistance seems to be all in on that. Seem to really love it. It really does seem to become the divide is between freedom and independence and total government control. And there's no longer really any hiding about that, hiding with that. I guess the one side says that that the individual soul deserves independence and freedom, deserves the right to follow their heart, pursue their dreams. And the other side, I guess, suggests that for the good and safety of all mankind and for global warming, that we should be controlled completely, micromanaged, and now even cold, it seems. Very interesting times.
So what tree are we going? No, they're not going. Oh. Thank you. Are you marching also? Yeah. Okay.
So it looks like maybe we've added an extra 100 people, 50, 100 people. I'm no expert at guessing crowds, but the crowd is growing. I have not seen Beto O'Rourke here, nor do I know if he's even going to show up. He's definitely here in spirit. All the merch, all the t-shirts, 90% of everything here is Beto O'Rourke for 2020. And now they're saying no cages, no wall. It's catchy. I mean, they're interesting.
We're very diverse here, and we all get along very well. You know, our crime is not high like
I have a follow-up question.
Buttons, flags, t-shirts, guys. $5 flags. Buttons, flags, t-shirts. $10 t-shirts, $5 flags. $2 buttons.
Wow, that's a serious selfie stick.
Buttons, flags, t-shirts.
Is it at the Tommy Sub? Okay. Yeah, it's at the Tommy Sub.
Cash your card right here, guys. No money, no problem. Come on over. But there's a guy with a
So this March for Truth was organized by two organizations, El Paso organizations. One is the Women's March, the El Paso Women's March, and the other one is an open, I can't remember the name right now, it's an Open Borders organization. And then, of course, Beto O'Rourke. So three strong areas of the resistance. Well, we have Beto, we have the Sharia-friendly Women's March, and we have the Open Borders.
buttons, flags, t-shirts, 300 kinds of buttons, $2 buttons, $5 flags, $10 t-shirts, cash or card.
Whatever's in here, just stick through. Don't be shy. It's $10 minimum on the card.
It's a different vibe, you know. We were up at the El Paso County Coliseum. We were there earlier, about 4 hours before the doors opened for the Trump rally. And back then, there was a little more people there than there are here now. Now I'm sure it's quite the spectacle down there. And you can see more coverage of that at infowars.com/show. And look for the live link for the Trump rally. But it was a different feel there for sure. It was a love fest. I wouldn't say this crowd is angry. I would say it's defiant. I would say it's defiant and very relaxed. It's my first Trump rally, even though I'm not actually at the Trump rally. I'm down the street from it. But it's an extremely interesting phenomenon that's happening right now. I don't remember. I mean, I'm only 48 years old, but there's never been a time in my lifetime where, you know, coliseums were filled with patriotic Americans supporting their president. It's never happened. You know, for that matter, I wonder if it's ever happened in the history of this country. It's very interesting. I first noticed that during the elections, and now I didn't believe that the system still worked. I thought for certain the corruption was so strong that the elections would always be rigged in favor of the establishment. I was convinced of it. So before the election of Donald Trump, I did not have much faith, if any at all, that he would actually make it to the presidency. And that wasn't because I didn't think he was popular. It was because I thought the elections were completely rigged. Because even though back then I wasn't necessarily following politics that closely, you could just see from the televisions, you know, the Hillary had crowds like this in a gym, a very sort of lazy crowds, small crowds in a gym, whereas Donald J. Trump was filling coliseums and back then. It was pretty clear. I mean, you'd think that the voters you can count on the most are the ones that are going to come out to these things. And I saw it back then. It was obvious back then to me. And of course, he speaks for truth and a champion for the Constitution. And so it was a no-brainer to get an outsider like him in, but I just didn't think it was going to happen. And it did. The rest is history.
Where went that sign?
But these people are not happy about it. there are definitely some of us in this country who just think it's horrible. It's not trendy. It's definitely not trendy. But what's interesting is that what's trendy is not necessarily popular.
United! El Paso, united!
It's the power of television.
United! Will never be divided! El Paso, united! Will never be divided! El Paso, united! Will never be divided!
Now I like this.
United!
El Paso should be united and never divided. I agree.
Oh well.
A lot of people, one guy drove from Chicago. He got it.
Yeah, more people flooding in. Now, there was crazy rumors flooding about today in the El Paso, Texas. Someone said that Oprah Winfrey and Tom Cruise were going to be here tonight. I'm not buying it. I'm not even sure if Beto O'Rourke is going to make an appearance here.
United will never be divided.
This seems to be clearly the most popular chant here tonight. The no KKK chants, I think, are losing popularity. Perhaps more and more people are beginning to wake up from the absolute brainwashed slumber of trendy pop culture to realize the nonsense of some of this stuff. But the El Paso chant is very popular here, which makes sense. We all love our families. We all love our communities. We love our towns. We love our state. We love our country. We love our planet. It's really not that complicated. But there is a pecking order, I would say. Family, community, city, state, country, world. Common sense. Yeah, the crowd is growing. I'm going to see if I can get to a distance where we can look at this crowd from afar, see what we really look like here. I see, we're looking right into the sun here. But it's definitely filling up about a third of the parking lot, maybe a quarter of Bowie High School of Fine Arts. And they're back to the Paso chant. We love that. We love that chant. It's a beautiful city here. And they're definitely feeling it. They're shutting down all kinds of roads and schools here today for the Trump rally, which you can catch the live stream at Infowars.com, where they'll be picking up this stream in the background, but mostly covering the historic Trump rally in El Paso, Texas, at the El Paso County Coliseum. Where he will most definitely be discussing border security and the border wall, and perhaps even declaring a national emergency. Time will tell. Tomorrow's News Today, Infowars, has been talking about the declaration of a national emergency for months now. And it's not at all unprecedented. There have been dozens declared. I believe there are still several active. And it's amazing that we're still having this discussion, because really it's just now that it's boiled down to the masks are off and the left is decloaked. The argument is, should we respect and honor the laws that we've already agreed to, or should we just destroy it all and have no regard for the laws, which is precisely the idea. A constitutional republic is a society based on a set of rules that people from all over the world, America is a nation of immigrants, people from all over the world can come to America, and what we all have in common is that we've agreed to a certain set of rules, a certain set of laws that we can always amend as we evolve and adapt. But this new resistance seems to be opposed to that completely. No borders at all is about as extreme as you can get. So once again, here we are in El Paso, Texas, on a beautiful sunny Monday evening at the Beto O'Rourke for President 2020 March for Truth, which was called on short notice. It was called a few days ago in response to President Donald Trump's El Paso, Texas rally, which is getting amped up right now. You can check it out at Infowars.com, newwars.com, to see what things are looking like at the County Coliseum, where you can get a peek of the parking lot outside there and the rally itself, which is set to start 7 p.m. Now that's, I had to stop and figure it out in my head. But that 7 p.m. is mountain time here in El Paso, local time, 7 p.m. local time. Ah, now there are buses. This is interesting. I was wondering about this. Charter buses, but they seem to be empty and just passing by. I was curious if people were going to be bussed in here with some Soros money. There's got to be still a little bit of Soros money. Maybe that's the case, actually. There does seem to be a stream of people coming from the area of the empty buses. And my curiosity has won me over. I'm going to go see what I see here. It's a fourth empty charter bus. Fifth empty charter bus. Did you guys come in on buses? No. They're saying they didn't come in on buses. I don't know. These could just be in traffic here. Or they could be from the Trump rally. I mean, I guess there doesn't seem to be enough people here to account for these 5 big buses compared to what was here earlier. Maybe Soros ran out of money. The other question is the Beto O'Rourke money. Millions. I mean, something's telling me 17 million, but I don't know if that's accurate. Millions of dollars in his campaign. Definitely accounts for all the signs, all the signages, buttons and T-shirts. But we wonder what else that money went for. We know that some of that money went to the migrant caravan. We'd love to know how much. That's very interesting.
Buttons, flags, t-shirts, $10 shirts, $2 buttons, 1 to 3, 5 to 10 on the buttons, guys, $5 flags, $10 Beto shirts.
We need a sign.
Can I have one? Perfect.
Sign in the distance. Make tacos, not walls. That's a good one. That might be one of my favorite. I think we can do both. I think we can make tacos and walls, and we can all get along.
They'll be like, I'm going to wait to see it on TV.
And maybe we could even make Mexico great again. All right, we have some movement here. I seem to be now at the head of the crowd. It believes like the march is now beginning. Okay. All right, so that answers our question. The march is going to head towards the Trump rally. And as fate would have it, after doing loop after loop after loop, I managed to get right at the front of it. So the resistance is now leaving Bowie High School in El Paso, Texas, and beginning the 20-minute walk to El Paso County Coliseum, where President Donald Trump is getting ready to deliver an address on border security, on upholding the laws of the nation, upholding the laws of the constitutional republic. Well, there's a decent amount of people here. It's not the dozen people that showed up to the recent Beto O'Rourke rally. Very disappointing crowd. And this one's much bigger, and he really, Donald Trump draws a crowd. He really does. You can't argue with that. Love him or hate him, the people come out for him. That's what this crowd's here for. This crowd is out here in honor President Donald Trump, although here they consider him to be the biggest criminal in American history. All right, it seems to have congealed here by the freeway. I don't see where it could go from here. Maybe this is the new location. No, it seems like this is a stage area. Okay, so these BNHR shirts this is the No Border organization.
Vamos a empezar a poner un poco de ambiente. Todos ustedes ya se saben las consignas. ¿Me pueden ayudar con unas consignas en inglés y también unas en español? Empezamos con la primera que dice: Hey, hey, ho, ho, the border wall has got to go. ¿Se la saben?
Oh, have no fear, Raymond.
Entonces a la cuenta de
I am only incognito.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, the border
Trump 2020.
has got to go. Una, dos, tres. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
All right, we are moving now.
The wall has got to go. Hey, hey. The border wall has got to go. Hey, hey.
No border chant. Yeah.
The border wall has got to go.
So what happens when you get rid of the borders? You know what's interesting is no one discusses that. It's as if we're all a bunch of idiots. And I might not be the smartest guy in the bunch, but you get rid of the borders, you destroy countries. That's the point, people. Conspiracies are real. If you're just tuning in now, you can go to Infowars.com and see coverage of the Trump rally, along with the live streams out in the crowd at El Paso County Coliseum, where the Trump rally is getting set to go off. And we are here right at the beginning, right at the start of the so-called March for Truth. Beto O'Rourke, organized by BNHR, which is an open borders organization. They don't want any borders, with no plan. Well, I'll tell you, the impeach button may have just saved me from an assault. Someone overheard me talking, and they sensed that maybe I wasn't for the open borders. And then they came up and took a very close look at this button, and they felt better. These symbols are very powerful.
This is an invitation for all the speakers to come back to the stage. We're about to start this rally. Ahora en español.
Okay, so they just announced they're going to start the rally.
Vamos a empezar algunas consignas en español. Primero les pedimos a los oradores que pasen aquí atrás del stage. Ya vamos a empezar con nuestro rally. Y toda la gente, por favor, somos mucha gente para que nos oiga. Hasta allá está el Coliseo.
That's right on schedule. They are very prompt. It is pretty much 5:01 p.m. here, Mountain Time in El Paso, and they are starting.
Es bien bonito estar aquí, ver tanta gente que está aquí en unidad. No vamos a permitir que nos dividan más. Y no vamos a permitir que nadie de Washington, que no vive aquí en nuestra frontera, venga a definir nuestra frontera y venga a decirnos lo que necesitamos. Nosotros, los que hemos estado aquí por mucho tiempo, sabemos que no necesitamos muros, porque no funcionan. No estamos de acuerdo en gastar billones de dólares en un muro que es un símbolo de odio y que más que dinero nos está costando vidas humanas. 500 personas mueren al año tratando de llegar a Estados Unidos a vivir el sueño americano que desgraciadamente se está convirtiendo en una pesadilla. Entonces nuestro mensaje es: hey, hey, ho, ho, the border wall has got to go. A la cuenta de 3, 1, 2, 3, hey, hey, ho, ho.
And now we're chanting, the border wall has got to go. Let's see if we can get a good wide shot of this crowd. Now, it's an interesting chant. Once again, if you're tuning in right now, you can check out the full coverage at Infowars.com. covering President Trump's El Paso rally this evening. Which is set to kick off in about 2 hours. This is just getting started here. This is the March for Truth to rival that rally. And there is little to be found as far as the exact details of it, but what I've heard is that they're going to march from here eventually to the El Paso County Coliseum, where President Trump is giving his speech to the people of El Paso. Now I can understand my fellow Americans saying that they don't want a big wall along the border. I can understand them saying that. I can understand them saying that it's not needed, that the security can be taken care of in other ways, the border can be protected in other ways. And I can even understand people with severe Trump derangement syndrome that just want to challenge every single last thing that he says. Because after all, it is a sickness. And so far, the cure, most people have been avoiding the cure. But what I don't understand is this get rid of the border. I mean, I could see, a dream of someday in the future, maybe some type of utopian Star Trek world where everyone loves everyone and everything's safe and secure. I can, but, I mean, do people think if we destroy borders right now, everything's going to be lovey-dovey? I think the reality is it would be a bloodbath, slaughter, and then eventually, after so much carnage and slaughter, people would resort to some peace and calm just out of absolute necessity after having survived such a holocaust of just reaping chaos upon the world by ripping away people's independence or sense of identity or security or home. Really doesn't make sense. Everybody likes to feel safe, and everybody deserves to feel safe within their country. I mean, what's the point of a government at all if it's not there for security? A lot of us would argue that's the only purpose, and everything else should be dropped. Leave us alone. So we've officially begun here, although there isn't much happening.
Oh, my bad.
Well, I'm no expert. on marches, but this certainly does look like the front wedge of a march. So I would guess that eventually this will be moving down the road to the Donald Trump rally, the El Paso County Coliseum. And if you're just tuning in, you can check Infowars.com for full coverage of the El Paso Trump rally, including streams from the parking lot. And this stream is going to be edited in there as well for some contrast.
¿Saben esa canción? Do you know that song? No? Well, this is what you're going to start to learn it.
Okay, well, you didn't call or anything. How was I supposed to know?
A ver.
Music's good.
How good with singers are you good singers? Can you help me with this song?
Too, we're right in front
Come on, guys. I thought you were ready.
Simon and Ted and Lori going on.
¿Tienen frío? Ahorita ya vamos a empezar. Tenemos unas personas muy importantes de seguridad que nos van a dar un mensaje de unidad. Y les quiero recordar otra vez, no caigan en provocaciones. Nosotros somos mejor. We are better than that. Vamos a demostrar quiénes somos en realidad aquí en El Paso. Y pues qué bueno que llegó mucha gente. Se me hace que esta es más de la gente que la que está ahí en el Coliseo, y eso demuestra quiénes somos en realidad aquí en El Paso.
This is the front wedge of the march. Right now, standing poised and ready. Ready to begin the march towards the President Trump rally. No border wall.
People united will never be defeated. Can you help me with that one? People united will never be divided. Okay? When I count to three. 1, 2, 3.
We are in El Paso, Texas, at the Beto March for Truth. For full coverage of the President Trump rally, you can tune into Infowars.com. For commentary, streams from outside the Coliseum, the festive crowd there, and a peek here at the March for Truth, Beto O'Rourke 2020, open borders, rivaling march here, I suppose. It's a small town, El Paso, and there are at least 3 crossings here, which I think is even more than Tijuana in San Diego. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong about that, because once again, it is a very small town here. And so there has been a long history of bridges between Mexico and the United States, a long history. In fact, the economy of Tijuana in particular was pretty much, the existing Tijuana today was pretty much a result of prohibition in America. It was one of the early symbiotic relationships the two countries had that allowed for a huge economic boon in Tijuana. And even here in the city of Juarez, there is a very vibrant symbiotic relationship between the two countries. And no one is suggesting that we end this vibrant relationship. In fact, I think the argument is to sustain the two and to protect the two. And yet, for some reason, the resistance now wants to end all of that, end sovereignty, destroy nations. I think we can be friends and we can take care of our own people at the same time. Hold on to our own identities at the same time. It makes it more fun to visit, you know? Makes it more fun to visit places when there's a certain sense of culture and identity that's a little foreign. In my opinion, the more foreign it is, the more fun it is. Because it's very interesting.
We've got Mariana right from the Butterfly Center in Rio Grande Valley.
Oh, this is interesting. So right off the bat, it starts off with, he doesn't want to take your guns. He doesn't want open borders. And yet, his march right here is all about no borders. And I guarantee you, he wants to take our guns. And they're now admitting that. The lies are ending, and the truth is coming out. Like Alex Jones says, they are decloaking. The masks are off, and now we're seeing the truth. The left, I don't feel comfortable even saying liberals anymore, because I would like to imagine that the majority of my liberal friends still believe in national sovereignty in the U.S. Constitution. Maybe I'm wrong, but this new left certainly doesn't. To them, freedom seems to be a horrible thing. They want complete government control, which is interesting, because I would say most of my liberal friends also believe in the spirit, in the human spirit, the soul, and individuality, and the importance of following one's heart, finding the truth in one's heart and following it. Now, that is all provided for in a system of government that upholds the rights of the individual, that respects the soul of the individual and the soul's right to pursue its own heart. It's a beautiful thing. I'd like to see every country have it. I think everyone would enjoy it. It has its drawbacks, like everything, but I can't think of anything more important than freedom. And now people say, we're not free in America. We're not free in America. Okay, so sure, so it's not perfect. And then you can have a whole discussion as to freedom and absolute freedom. And that's where things get a little political and complicated. But I, as an American, have had a very easy time. You can pretty much follow your heart. You can choose a dream, an objective, and you can go for it. You also have the freedom to do nothing and complain about it. And you even have the freedom to call for people's deaths, it seems, as long as they're conservative. You can call for anyone now who wants to defend and uphold the Constitution. Anyone who claims to be a patriot, you can attack them. It's trendy. Celebrities, all the good-looking celebrities love it. So how could it be wrong? We have more signs now. Now I'm not sure which one's going to be the front wedge. They can't all be the front wedge. The street's not that wide. So it's either going to be less immigration reform. Yes, immigration reform. Or it's going to be no border wall. Or it's going to be no more lies. I wonder if there's going to be a contest. Here's a sign here, we are all immigrants. Couldn't agree more. I don't think anyone argues with that. Even our president, Scotch-German. I'm Irish Welsh. I don't think there's any such thing as a true American. And even the Native Americans, a lot of them claim to have come from other places. Who knows? Who knows? It's always been a nation of immigrants. It's always been the beautiful color of this country. No one is disputing that. What we're disputing, the patriots, is simply respecting the laws that we have in place. My great-grandparents who immigrated here did not do so illegally. They did so legally, with respect. With great respect, in fact, with great respect and great love for America and American culture. And they came from hard times from their own countries, and they found their dreams here. Some of them came with their spouse and had their families here. Others met their spouse. Others, I think there's two of them. One came with their spouse, one got married here, created their dreams, big, vibrant families. Children and grandchildren that then went off to marry people of other cultures and other ethnic backgrounds to just add to the beautiful color of America. And I don't understand why that's an issue for so many people. I think 2020, that's what 2020 is going to be really about. It's going to be about, do we respect our laws? Do we want to be a nation of laws, a constitutional republic, or anarchy? Because that's what it is that's being offered, is anarchy. No one is saying what's going to happen once we do tear down the walls. There is no discussion of that. There is no discussion of the future or how this is going to look or how this is going to happen. It's just simply tear them down. Tear them down, and if you don't agree, then you're a bad person. It's fairly obvious for anyone who's half awake, but the problem is that a lot of people aren't awake. And whatever's trendy is sort of the way to go. A perception of popularity. If all the good-looking celebrities on TV are saying it, then there's a perception that that's what everyone feels. And the human ego wants to be popular. So it'll go along with what the good-looking celebrities say. Speaking of which, once again, I heard Oprah Winfrey and Tom Cruise are supposed to be here. I'll believe that when I see it. But there you go. Two good-looking celebrities who have their own little thing to say, which is basically a repetition of the entire trendy pop culture system. You get the same thing whether you're listening to music, whether you're watching the Grammys, the Oscars, television, Hollywood, late night talk shows. It's all the same. It's all the same. And if you're stuck in that, if you're stuck in sort of the trendy ego, lower ego part that just wants to be popular and wants to be accepted and do what everyone else is doing, it's going to be easy to think that pop culture narrative is an actual genuine reflection of reality. The control of perception. If you're tuning in, you can check out Infowars.com, Newswars.com for complete live coverage and commentary of the President Trump rally in El Paso, Texas. Once again, here's our Beto O'Rourke campaign vehicle. Slightly updated for the... No, I don't think it is updated. I think this is still for Senate. Now, I would bet that this is going to be the Democrats' choice for 2020. I'm actually surprised, it hasn't been announced yet, the massive amount of support that this guy got for the Senate race from coming out of nowhere, basically, was astonishing. The resistance enjoys that. They like the name recognition of it. I can't imagine them having even a shot with anyone other than Beto at this point. But whoever they go for, it does seem like it's not going to be behind the mask anymore. There will be no more mask of moderate. There will be no moderate mask. It's going to be no borders. It's going to be no law. It's going to be not just late-term abortion. It's going to be infanticide, like our Virginia governor just revealed. And that, my friends, has nothing to do with sexism. It has nothing to do with a woman's right. Setting a precedent to kill a human baby after it's been born has nothing to do with women's rights. Now we're setting a precedent where a human is basically owned by the state from birth. Because if the state can decide to kill a human baby, I mean, that's ownership. So if you're tuning in just now, we are at El Paso, Texas, at the Beto O'Rourke March for Truth rally, which is in response to the President Trump rally, which is about a 20-minute walk away, which I believe this march is going to be making its way to at some point. And for complete live coverage of the event, you can go to Infowars.com, Newswars.com.